Welcome back. This is the NewX debate. Yet another government claim exposed. While the CBI has strongly rebutted the UPA government claims that missing coal files wouldn't impede the agency probe into the coal scam, the government has been insisting that the files in question had been given to the CBI in 2012. The Coal Ministry has also been parroting the line that the misplaced documents were already with the CBI. NewX now is in possession of a letter in which the Attorney General Ghulam Vahanmati has written to Coal Secretary S.K. Srivastav and pointed out that the CBI has emphasized that it does not have the necessary files pertaining to at least 20 companies which had benefited from the questionable coal allocations. The letter, which was sent 3 days ago on the 2nd of September 2013, the CBI in its observations had pointed out a large number of documents are still missing. In fact, the final minutes of the 26th screening committee are not traceable at all. Joining me tonight for the debate on this particular topic is Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, who will join us in just a bit, leader of the BJP. Dr. Sambit Patra is already here. He'll also join us, as will Vinod Sharma. Also joining us right now is Dr. T. Hanuman Chowdhury, Chairman Pragna Bharati. He joins us from Hyderabad. Professor Madhav Nalpat, Managing Editor of the Sunday Guardian, he joins us as well, as does, like I told you already, Subramaniam Swamy will join us in just a bit. I'd like to go straight across to Madhav Nalpat first. Madhav Nalpat, we have in our possession the letter which was written by AG Ghulam Vahanmati. Now this is the letter which clearly emphasizes, and it says that He's emphasizing CBI's point that they in fact need those documents, need those files, especially the final minutes of the 26th screening committee meeting that are completely untraceable, and the CBI will of course get hampered, the investigation will get hampered, and he's making the CBI's point. Now my question is, need those files, especially the final minutes of the 26th screening committee meeting that are completely untraceable, and the CBI will of course get hampered, the investigation will get hampered, and he's making the CBI's point. Now my question to you, sir, is this: the government had clearly said that the files that were missing will not impede the agency probe into the coal scam. Do you think that's just one lie exposed on the government's behalf? Do you think it will harm the government's case also perception wise as otherwise?
Well, I'd like to first say that the Attorney General needs to be complimented for having written that letter and for exposing the true facts. The fact of the matter is the Attorney General, the CAG, the CVC, these are not only individuals but institutions, and they should represent the national interest rather than narrow political or governmental interests. So in that sense, I'm glad the AG has sent this letter. Having said that, I'd like to say that the CBI chief needs to understand that he has immense powers at his discretion that he can use even in the case of situations where written records are missing. He can interrogate the people concerned who are in the meeting, he can question them, he can confront them. There are very, very many ways of getting evidence, and he ought not to run away from doing an investigation on the pretext that some written records are missing.
All right, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy has joined us. Dr. Swamy, first reaction, NewX has the letter. It names the companies. There are about 18 companies clearly which are under CBI scrutiny. The most important bit, and I'm going to ask you the same thing again, the 26th screening committee meeting, the final minutes are missing. Your first reactions on this?
Well, that's a clear criminal offense, and immediately the CBI must register an FIR, because the screening committee is the key thing on which the decisions were made. And therefore, against unnamed persons, the CBI ought to register a FIR.
Where does it put the government, Dr. Swamy, right now? The government, in fact, first claim was that whatever files are missing will not impede the probe. Now the CBI says this, that it will impede the probe. The AG is backing the CBI right now.
Yes, that's fine. I mean, he's done the right thing to have done so. But what I think is that ultimately, how was the decision made? There are minutes of the meeting in PMO of 4 key people. 2 of them are not officials. Those minutes are also very important. Whether they are tagged along with the screening committee files, I do not know. But the original, according to my understanding, these 4 people met in the PMO, and a shortlist was drawn. Then it was sent for vetting by the party, and then it came back from the party, and then a shorter list came, and then it was given to the Minister of State, who cleared the files. So this is the route by which the decision was taken, and that's what needs to be traced.
Okay.
And the only way you can trace it is by an FIR.
All right, Dr. Sambit Patra, let me point out a couple of names that there are in fact in the letter, because let me show the viewers as well. This is the letter that we have. There are about more than 10 pages of this letter, but let me just concentrate right now on the names of those companies. There you can see on your screen right now as well some important companies. The perception, Dr. Patra, and of course some reports in the media also suggest that these companies are owned by or are a consortium of people who were close to some important people in the government in the decision making process. Let me name some of the companies here. There's SCAW, SCAW Industries, also MS Sunflag Iron and Steel Limited, now Tata Sponge Iron. There are many other more, there are many more as well. I can list some more minutes. The names, the suggestion here is, and I'm not making any accusation, the suggestion here is that these people directly benefited because they were close to people who were making the decisions. Now, given the fact these company names are out in the public domain, we are in possession of this letter which actually names these 18 companies. Do you think the case of the opposition becomes even more stronger that there was something going on and people benefited out of turn?
It's not just something going on. Lots has been going on since long, and the country is witnessing every bit of it. This whole game of coal scam is, I believe, blacker than coal itself, and the country is seeing every bit of it. The irony is, look, I have told in your debate itself, it is not just a case of missing coal files. Ironically, it is also a case of missing voice of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister, he is not just the Prime Minister. He was a minister to this particular portfolio.
How do you respond to Mr. Vinod Sharma when he says, you know, you can't blame the Prime Minister for all of it. There might have been omission by him, but it doesn't mean you ask for his resignation every time.
No. A Prime Minister who has so many omissions should omit himself from this responsibility altogether. You have 2G scam, and then he gets the benefits of omissions. He gets the benefit where his juniors perform something about which he is not aware. A Prime Minister who is perennially unaware of what is going on under his very nose need not be the Prime Minister of the country. There are other people who can be the Prime Minister. What is the need? There is something in dictionary called as vicarious responsibility, and I believe this holds strongly for the Prime Minister of the country, if not for anything else. Vicarious responsibility clearly states that whatever happens under your nose by your subordinates, you are the one who is responsible for it. Okay, so Prime Minister can never be given a benefit of doubt as far as this whole case is concerned.
Okay, how do you respond? Before I go to Hanuman,
I quite agree with this principle of vicarious responsibility, and it should be applied uniformly across the board. You must hold people responsible who are holding positions of authority, and under their nose or under their watch or despite them, things are going wrong in this country. I was only trying to drive a distinction. I think the government's case in this is indefensible. There is a clear destruction of evidence. And as Monu Nalpat was just now pointing out, there are two ways of finding this out. Of course, there can be an FIR. But why an FIR without names, as somebody just now suggested? You can give down the names. Names could be who are the beneficiaries. You see, whenever a murder happens, you look at the beneficiary. The beneficiary of this are the companies who are under investigation for having been wrongly allocated the coal blocks. So if the files relating to them are missing, they are beneficiaries.
Right.
And then the people who are handling the files in their various departments. And as I said earlier, in the government, there is a very clearly laid down procedure of on the movement of the file. If today government claims they have sent the file to the CBI, files to the CBI, and CBI says we have not received the files, it will be very easy to find out as to who is the last officer to handle the file before it's sent to the CBI. So, interrogate that officer, find it out from him, and also interrogate people who were beneficiaries, in these private companies who were beneficiaries. But please, for God's sake, get this case out of your way as quickly as possible, because I think even opposition people agree that the ban which is there on coal mining right now It's forcing us to import coal.
It's hurting
and
the
our
economy.
CAD is widening every day.
Right. Okay, point taken, sir. Hanuman Chaudhary, let me come to you. T. Hanuman Chaudhary, who's joined us from Hyderabad right now. Sir, I want your very brief first comments on the news story that NewsX broke today. Of course, we are in possession. Let me get you up to date. We are in possession of a letter written by the AG, Ghulam Wahanwati, which in fact emphasizes what the CBI has been saying for a while now, that they cannot in fact effectively prove the Colgate scam until and unless they have the relevant files that are missing right now. Now, I use the word missing. The government has used many words: misplaced, stolen. They've also used the word replaced. But your first reactions on this? There are companies that have been named in this particular letter. We want to know your first reactions on this.
This is the foulest blot on the record of the UPA government, especially of the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, who is reputed to be honest, but has been allowing every type of dishonesty to flourish under his care. Now, the S-band scam happened when he was in charge of that S-band spectrum allocations. These coal allocations, these licenses or permits were also given when he was in charge of this coal. And to cap it all, to say that the files are missing, that means you want to justify one lie by another lie. This has been the characteristic of this type of government, not now, even before. In the Bofors case, the then Prime Minister said, neither I nor any member of my family is concerned with this. We have not taken any money. But events proved that somebody in the family was intimately connected with this scam, and it could disappear only with the death of that man, although the sting still persists.
Okay.
Now, Manmohan Singh, he is clearly, once he said, no, let me complete this one. I think the blame must be squarely put upon him. He is not a nominal Prime Minister, he is a nominated Prime Minister, all right, but whether he should be nominal also is a question.
Okay.
Now, when 40,000 megawatts of power generation equipment is lying unused because there is no coal, it is a criminal economic offense that he has committed. Now, they are saying files are missing. I was in the government of India for 38 years. Every file has got two portions. One is called the C portion and another is called the N portion. The N portion is the notings and C portion is the correspondence. So every letter that I issue from the government is logged in the N portion. So it is meant for somebody is having that one. Similarly, every communication that comes from somebody to the government is also in the C portion and it is noted in the N portion.
Okay.
Therefore, it can be constructed.
I take
all
your point,
the people
sir.
who are concerned must have received letters.
I take your point.
Some letters must have been received.
I take your point,
So
sir.
my point is, it is possible to trace unless all of them have colluded and conspired to destroy the evidence.
Okay, that point,
This
sir.
is the
Dr.
greatest
Swamy.
crime that is being committed by this Prime Minister.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
And,
Right, Mr. Hanuman Chaudhary, thank you for that point. I'll take that point straight across to Dr. Swamy.
Yes.
I'll take that point to Swamy, Dr. Swamy. I want him to speak on this. Now, he said there are two portions of every file in the government, and unless someone deliberately colluded, he can't understand. In fact, even I can't understand where the files went.
No, there's no doubt about that. The issue is how do you fix the responsibility as to how it happened, where it happened. Well, it's no, in my opinion, the only problem asking for Prime Minister's resignation is who's going to take his place. If somebody is totally unfit for the job is going to succeed him, I rather this Prime Minister continue. It's only 6 months more. Second is you can't register an FIR in the criminal law just on the basis of who's the beneficiary, because you can have say an assassination of a political leader and you can't say his wife has benefited because she's inherited his bank accounts. You can't hold her responsible as a beneficiary. So consequently, the like in the 2G, originally it started with the CBI registering an FIR against unnamed persons. Then they identified the person. The same way this has to be done this way. There is no doubt as a minister, there are two sets of files. One is called the note file and the other is called the current file. It's not called the correspondence file, it's called the current file. And it's impossible in the Indian situation for any correspondence or a file to be missing. because there is always a duplicate. So they must have also swiped the duplicate.
Okay, Mr. Sharma, you have a point. Very quickly. Very quickly.
My point is, this case is under investigation. The CBI has evidence which it wants to corroborate with the government documents, and is saying that these are crucial documents. The question here is that this investigation has to be taken up on an urgent basis. Now, yes, of course, there is a provision for a supplementary FIR. You can go on adding to the FIR. You write a basic story and then you go on adding.
There are already 12 FIRs.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So already there are 12 FIRs. And in this case, we know who are the people who could have possibly removed those files. These are not missing files. These are misplaced or stolen files. Because there is nothing like missing file in government system. As has been pointed out by two people in this discussion just now. So I think that if you really want to wield the stick and make people sing, then you will have to put the heat on the private sector beneficiaries. Because corruption in this country, though the political class is in cahoots, the fountainhead of corruption in this country is the private sector.
Okay. Let me ask Madhav Nalpat this now. Professor Nalpat, Mr. Sharma has a point. He said the heat has to be put down on people, the private sector who, perception-wise benefit. But isn't the fact that there is the perception, the other perception is that that's exactly who is being protected by saying the files are stolen, they're missing, they're misplaced. Someone is trying to protect someone, and that's why we are going nowhere in this. We're going around in circles. The CBI is hampered. They're crippled because they don't have the files. Don't you think that's the point? That's the case. That someone somewhere is trying to shield someone.
Well, Vinod has made a very strong case, but I would just like to point out that I don't believe that, and I think a psychiatrist will probably bear me out, that anybody wants to pay a bribe or anybody wants to be pressurized into paying a bribe. The fact of the matter is that decisions are on auction, and unless a bribe is paid, these people are just not going to be given this kind of resource. The second point is, do they deserve the resource? And I think these are points that frankly need very careful investigation. Has coal been allocated to companies who have not utilized that coal properly? And as everybody can see, we have still got a horrible power situation, and many of these companies very careful investigation. Has coal been allocated to companies who have not utilized that coal properly? And as everybody can see, we have still got a horrible power situation, and many of these companies simply monetized the decision of government in their favor. Now the second question is the CBI. It can go into telephone records. It can go into visit records. There are very many things the CBI can do. You can investigate by your nose. You can smell a situation. You can investigate by your ears. You can hear a situation. And you can read correspondence. I'm sorry to say the CBI seems to be only having eyes and no nose and no ears, with the result that is, it seems to be almost saying that it's helpless, when actually there are very strong powers at its discretion that can be used.
Okay, we keep coming back to that 26 screening committee and the final missing minutes, because that's exactly what decided who gets what coal block. And Professor Nalpat mentioned on what basis were these companies given these coal blocks. So we come back to that main particular problem, the 26 screening meeting, which we keep coming back to, because that's disappeared. It's not even traceable, Dr. Patra.
But the members of the screening committee have not disappeared.
They haven't disappeared. That's a very good point.
Exactly,
yes.
And that is why today the oral evidence becomes very important. When the documentary evidences are lost, as he rightly pointed out, since the person who were orally present there, who were physically present there, can always depose before the CBI, and that's what we are demanding. Let the Prime Minister depose in front of the CBI. Since he was a minister, then he can easily come forth with the oral evidence and we can collect it.
And
secondly, and most, just a second,
correct.
Secondly and most importantly, you had raised a very pertinent question as to who is trying to hide whom, and to which we
I use the word shield someone.
Shield. Shield and hide is almost a synonymous words. The answer is, it is very evident, and I told you in the previous discussion also. We would also remember about few months ago, the whole thing was vetted before it was presented to the apex court, and when the government was asked about who vetted and why it vetted, the excuse of the government came out was what only the grammar of the things were changed, to which the Supreme Court said that the soul was changed. Naturally, the person who changed the soul and was maintaining that the grammar was changed was the fountainhead of corruption, and I believe it's not the private company merely.
Okay, before I go to Mr. T. Hanuman, yes.
I think one thing, the screening committee, the membership has been referred to. You know, when the minutes are prepared, they are sent to individual members so that their version is honestly recorded or not. Surely they'll be having the copies.
Right. So why do you think the CBI doesn't go and
this
ask
whole
them to depose?
There is no question of a missing. You see, files can be reconstructed. Government can reconstruct files. It has to apply its mind to doing it, you know. And I'm sure if a serious effort is made, the screening committee minutes can be discovered.
Are you saying that a serious effort is not being
made?
No,
let the Supreme Court take charge of it.
No, the Supreme Court has already taken charge. They have ordered a FIR.
The question is, do you think the CBI is not making a serious enough effort?
It looks like, but then I will leave that judgment to the Supreme Court.
Okay.
They will pull up the CBI if they are not making a serious effort. We shouldn't be sitting here as judges.
Okay.
Though some people may think that, you know, they can influence the Supreme Court. I cannot.
No, I don't think any of us can. Sambat, one second, I'll come to you. T. Hanuman Chaudhary has been waiting for a while. Mr. Hanuman Chaudhary, you had a point. Go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Yes. It is absolutely wrong to put the primary blame upon the private sector. The private sector is there to do business, to make profits. Therefore, it will explore every possibility of getting a contract. But the minister...
But those ways have to be legal, sir. That's what we are saying. They've used illegal ways.
They have taken loans against, they have taken bank loans against the mines they have.
Unethical ways, sir. That's the point. The point is the private sector, it seems like, used unethical ways to get what they wanted.
It is moral turpitude. Please let me.
Sir, we are not here to defend the private sector. Whoever is wrong should be punished.
It is their nature. But to overcome that nature, to control that nature, it is the responsibility of the minister, of the government. And you are saying that the minutes are missing. Do you think anybody writes any minutes in the long hand? They are dictated. There are stenographers. Stenographers' notebooks are available. Now, why can't they be got it? There are several ways of finding out and reconstructing these files. Now, it is said that chits were coming from an extra constitutional body who is wielding the power or from that office, and these are being allotted, and reasons are, justifications are so written that the recommendee gets the coal block that is wanted. So it is primarily the politician, the minister. Edmund Burke, a great statesman, said, what all is necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. This man, this prime minister did nothing. And that is why evil after evil, scam after scam has been happening. And in the case of 2G, he first said he would depose before the JPC.
Sir, why did he concentrate on the coal scam?
Why does he not? For the sake of truth, for the sake of morality, for defending his own honesty, volunteer to depose before this CBI.
Right. Point taken, sir. I only have 2 minutes on the show, so I want a comment from each of you. So we'll make it brief. Samit Patra, go ahead.
So you were just, everyone in this panel were trying to make a point as to why the CBI, in spite of having lot many ears, eyes and nose, were only using a particular faculty and not the rest. The answer is what happened in the court about 2 days ago, when Saran wanted to, the advocate wanted that the CBI should be given the right to question the 3 important bureaucrats, including Brahma and others on this issue, then probably the government did not give the opportunity to do so. And on this, Saran had replied that since it is under the apex court view, that the whole thing is being monitored and being done, so it has the right to investigate and right to interrogate these 3 bureaucrats, and probably the government did not allow the CBI to do so because the government loved a caged parrot more than an independent eagle. Okay. And that's the reason as to why CBI is probably not using the other faculties.
Okay, Dr. Swamy, the CBI, Mr. Sharma said perhaps the case could be the CBI is not using all means necessary. We talked about the deposition of those members who were present in the screening committee meeting. What do you think is stopping the CBI? The court is backing the CBI, the AG is backing the CBI. What is stopping the CBI?
No, it's not like that. In the 2G also I found many of the CBI officials privately told me that ultimately we are the Home Ministry cadre. And tomorrow we can be sent off to Timbuktu and it will disrupt our whole family life, etc. We need a special CBI act, a separate act, which has a separate cadre. Then only you can have a really independent. At the moment, the Supreme Court is giving them directions. They are acting according to the direction. Supreme Court has already said that if you can't find out, where you register an FIR. So that will be the next hearing.
Okay.
The second thing I would like to say is that there is a tendency in all our discussions to treat to ask for the resignation of the Prime Minister. He is a soft target. but we know in this system of government who is the real decision maker. I don't know why nobody wants that person to be interrogated.
Last comment on the show. I don't have much time, so last comment on the show. If we do believe the CBI in fact can do better, can pursue this strongly, and they're not, like we say, what advice would you give the government, the Prime Minister, or whoever right now? Perhaps because you said it's so important to get this case out of the way. What advice, very briefly, what advice would the government?
I think that the government, the onus is on the government. There is no doubt about this.
And it's under attack from all sides.
And so long as this case lingers, the opposition has a major issue against the government. And the government has to manage the economy. And it also has to come clean on this issue. So I think all initiatives should be taken by the government, short of handing over the investigations to the FBI. Because we too must sort of restrain ourselves, that we must learn to trust the CBI, at least when it is working on the instructions of the Supreme Court of India.
All right. On that note, sir, I must thank Dr. Sambit Patra and and Vinod Sharma for joining us on this particular debate. We'll take a small break right now. We'll come back with yet another topic. Dr. Subramaniam Swamy stays with us, as does Professor Nadan Nalpat and T. Hanuman Chaudhary for the next topic as well. Don't go anywhere, lots more to come on the other side of this break.